continue to do it. Life goes on. We can, if we pause for a minute.
Yo, we are live again. I'm gonna put everybody on mute for a minute, guys. We are live with Table Talk with Tiffany. I just had to reset the live, guys. If you're just joining in, this is part two. We're gonna go right back into it. Okay, stand by, everybody. This is Tiffany Parker, and today we're gonna be discussing Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, everybody. You're just tuning in. This is part two. I had to reset the live. Welcome, Tiffany.
With Tiffany, I was muted. Am I unmuted now?
Oh.
Yeah. I'm Tiffany Parker. Thank you so much. This is Table Talk with Tiffany, and I'm here on Father's Day talking with my dad, Leon Wynn. So this is part two. Just a little technical difficulties. It's storming where we are, right? So we're pushing through it. We're gonna be all right. Thank you again, Leon, for being here. I appreciate you being here on Father's Day, and it's always a joy to talk with you. But I think this is our first time ever sitting down having a candid conversation. Talking about your path and your journey with me as your daughter and my sister, and how our families were blended together. And you have two other daughters, my stepsisters, Tanya and Charlotte. So you got four girls. I know that's you don't look like what you've been through, sir. So tell me a little bit. You were telling us that you are a Louisiana guy, that you got your degree from Texas Southern University. I just keep hearing entrepreneur come up. You had a business. You had a service business. I remember, I think when we met, you had an exterminating business, right?
Oh, yes, I did. Yeah, keep going right in and out of one endeavor into another.
Oh, now I know where I inherited that from. So you had a service business, you had the extermination business, then you opened the child care development business, then y'all became, got in the real estate business, then you became a consultant, and now, let me see, you got your HVAC license. You better not ever talk about me moving all around again. Let me see now. And then you teach a class on the weekends where you're now a counselor. And then I think at around 77, you got your insurance license.
Yeah, I did.
Man, stop.
Yeah, still pushing that.
Y'all, as y'all can see, if entrepreneur didn't run in my blood, it definitely runs in my heritage. So I appreciate you showing that entrepreneur side of you. And I think this is the first time that we ever really talked about your entrepreneurial journey, huh? So I didn't realize that you had all of those careers.
Yeah, I just kind of go through not that, and let me not hesitate to say they weren't failures
At all.
Everything has been beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a productive journey now that I reflect on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so thank you so much for figuring out how to be a good father and be a good man of God and be a good husband and then be a good businessman as well. So you can tell them a little bit about what it was like raising me. I know that it's tough to talk about it without you getting very emotional and but do your best. I mean, you told me repeatedly what a joy it was raising me, but go ahead and tell the people.
It really was. We didn't cross ways too many times. I mean, obviously there were criteria that we had as productive people. I think our jobs as parents was basically to demonstrate to you what we expected of you.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that we were going to really twist your arm or anything, because I never was much on discipline. I always felt like I didn't have time for that.
Mm-hmm.
If you knew the rules and you knew what the expectations are and were, it was up to you to follow them.
Hold on, let me put a pin in there. I don't know if my sister's anywhere close to you so she can hear you. But yeah, he would absolutely give you the belt and have you go give your own self your punishment. So I don't know if there are any fathers out there listening, but if you have unique children like we were that really could kind of judge what their own punishment should be and then what the expectation was, because I think you all kind of raised us. Y'all didn't raise children, y'all raised adults. And we had a real, solid situation. We made menus. We knew how to, we had recipes. We had a list of chores. We had rules and regulations that were lined out. We had words that were given to us. And if you didn't understand what that meant, you were encouraged to go to the dictionary, find out what it was, and then come back and figure out how that applied to you. And then if you broke the rules, you went back to whatever the list of rules were. And you say, you don't remember this rule? Okay, you remembered it and you chose to broke it. Okay, here go a belt. Go take care of yourself. And now that I think about it, it was a very unique way of parenting. I appreciate that. And, I think that every parent is assigned to raise their child, the way that God tells them to. I don't think that there's one surefire way to do it. And so I know you were bobbing and weaving, but you did a great job. So tell us a little bit about what that meant to you and how you determined how to raise us.
Well, what it means was, obviously, I'm from, as they say, the old school. You can tell by that little gray stuff on my face.
Mm-hmm.
But my parents, my grandparents, actually great-grandparents, who were instrumental in rearing my brother and I,
mm-hmm.
had some pretty stringent and strict rules.
Mm-hmm.
Belt was one of those problems if you didn't follow the rule. Well, that didn't take me long to figure that out, because I didn't like the results of the belt. So I was very cautious about breaking those rules. But one thing I didn't like was the results of breaking the rules. So when to me and my family, what I had to contribute, I need to discipline you by basically teaching you.
Mm-hmm.
Once I teach you, I don't need to get physical with you, because that's taxing me. That's not helping you at all.
I'm so glad that was one of your rules. Go ahead, continue to talk, man. Let him use you.
But that's the truth, and I share that with others even today. You don't need to be physical with your children. Make sure you're not doing what you are telling them not to do, and then demonstrate.
Wait a minute, say that again. What? Make sure what?
Make sure you're not doing what you're telling them not to do.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
And then bring it to their attention when they violate that.
Mm-hmm.
But give them the responsibility to correct it.
Mm-hmm.
And the results will be positive for you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can agree with that. I think that it was one of the things too that your all style of parenting, giving us that independence. Like if we didn't understand something and if we didn't agree with it, or if we didn't see how it was going to benefit us, we did have an opportunity to talk about it. Now, Mama was, she's definitely the spare the rod, spoil the child. Foolishness is bound in the heart of the child, but a rod of correction will drive it from her. She's that girl. However, I don't know if you remember, I got my last whooping when I was maybe 12. Because I was taller and bigger than her. And so it just got to be a little weird, And so, and I was already driving. You remember I had my own business out of the garage. I already had my own car. I already had my own business. Like I said, I had been driving and cooking and cleaning, and I think already working because we had businesses. Yeah. And then I helped other people in the family who had businesses. And then I had me and my sister had our little store out of the garage. So I think that last whooping I got, I was like, okay, Mama, that's enough. And I may have been 12 or 13. And so she said, are you sure? And I was like, well, yeah, I have my own phone because you let me get my own phone when I was 11 or 12. I paid my own phone bill. Like I said, I already driving. I already had my own business. Bigger than everybody in the house except you. I was the youth director at church. I was over to Sunday school.
Yeah.
I was already riding the bus up to Cold Springs every weekend that I could. So there was really not much of anything to whip me for. But that last one that she gave me, that was the one that I was like, okay, I think that's enough. And she was like, are you sure? And I said, I think that that's enough. And she gave me one more, and then we agreed that that was it.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the last time that y'all disciplined me physically. But I can tell you for certain that disappointing you all was way more hurtful than having you guys use a belt or anything like that. I would rather for y'all to have whooped me than to talk to me strongly. And so, I really appreciate that, because whooping me wasn't going to help me, because I can take a whooping. What I can't take is thinking that I, disappointed y'all or fell short in some way that I knew you guys had made sacrifices for me to win in. So again, y'all, this is, I'm talking with my dad, Leon Wynn. My name is Tiffany Parker. This is Table Talk with Tiffany. And we're just kind of, just kind of chatting it up and giving you guys some perspective on Father's Day about just some different techniques you could use to parent children who were like me, very, very adult-like before my time, but not allowed to be an adult. And so I appreciate that, because I could have done things differently, and it just wasn't allowed, even though I was driving and had my own phone. What time was my curfew, Leon?
I think 10 o'clock.
Now, it was 9 o'clock. And y'all, I had a 9 o'clock curfew. I think, do I still have a 9 o'clock? Even after I graduated from college and came home, and I didn't even adhere to it, I still had a 9 o'clock curfew. Okay.
Right. Bring the recall. You're right.
It was 9 p.m. period.
See, the thing is, once you know the rules, if you read them, that's on you. It's not on the person setting the criteria, setting the rules or the criteria for the rule. We know the rules were for your protection. Now, violated those rules. Obviously, we had some concern, but if you did it once, fine. If you do it a second time, well, we got the eyebrow. If it's the third time, then we've set a trend. So then we need to get involved more, define what those rules are and what they mean and what us. But one of the things that was and still is important, and you may or may not remember this, when you left the house, you were told that, remember, you're representing us.
Right. Yes, I remember that every single time. Even when, so y'all, let me tell y'all something. So I lived on the north side of Houston. And let me see, you worked about what? When you were at TI, you worked about what? About 45 minutes from the house?
Yeah, it was 30 miles. So yeah, it could have been that.
Okay, so it was 30 to 45 minutes from the house. But I went to high school at a preparatory school, which was considered a magnet school, but it was a very special place to be. And it had to be an hour from our house. So if I lived on the north side, I went to school in River Oaks. And you'd have to be from Houston to understand what that means. It was about an hour from where we were. And just about every day, you would drive me from there to there, back to your job at 290. And I didn't realize the sacrifice that you all were making to make sure that I could have that experience until I started driving that. I was like, who would do that? And you did. And I really appreciate you making that sacrifice. It's something that we just did for Chrissy, for Sonny's daughter, with her wanting to do the same thing. And thank God she just graduated. So, but that's just what you do. That's one of the things that you did that really showed a big sacrifice. And I know it was. And I'm sure that it probably got on your nerves. We would be in traffic. I would be late. I wasn't ready. And it was far. And you was in a stick shift too. So it wasn't like we was riding. We was not riding luxury like that. We were rolling it out. And by the way, you gave me that stick shift after you got through with it, so I appreciate that too. I think that was one of the first cars that I took to college.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Or was it the Camaro? Well, it was the first one, wasn't it?
I thought I had the Bug first.
Well, yeah, the Bug was there.
I think I had the Bug first, then I had a Camaro, then I had no. I had so many cars. How many cars? Listen, y'all. If your daddy didn't buy you 10 cars before you was 25, throw them away. Either I wrecked them or tore them up.
Yeah.
So tell me, what was it like? What else was it like raising us and being, and having 2 girls in the house, 2 girls that you were raising from the house? What was that like?
Well, today we call it blended family, don't we?
Oh yeah, I hadn't even heard that before. Like what about
Right.
10 years ago or something? Mm-hmm.
I didn't think of it that way, and I still don't.
Mm-hmm.
I had 4 girls. I still have young ladies now, but that's who they are. That was my family. Driving to those lengths in the morning, the worst thing about it was getting up early enough to do it. That's not a challenge otherwise.
We got up at 5. We used to get up at like 5 every morning, right?
Yeah.
And then when y'all opened a business, then we would get home at about 7 in the evening.
Yeah.
Then we lay down about.
That was a routine. That was what life was, and we were to live in those confines the best we could, and didn't leave a lot of room for error. I thank God for bringing us through that unscathed, because I never thought it was a burden to do anything that you just recalled. If that's what Tiffany or Sonny needs, or Charlotte or Tanya needs, that's what they need. Guess what? So you're supposed to do that. And
you did.
Yeah, that's what you do. Thank God for the direction, and not being one of the problems that I think families have. We get somewhat serious is we're too selfish. The male is selfish. The female is selfish. And we really don't consider the other person over our own will and desire. And like I know, when you go into a relationship, both of you come with some baggage. But the problem is you got a special hold on your bag, and I got a special hold on mine. So we're going to sit them on either side of the hallway coming in the house, and we're not going to touch them until we come to the point where we can't deal with what the other person is doing. So when you don't make allowances for that in your relationships, chances are you're going to run into some hardship. So that's, obviously you learn these things over time. I didn't have that kind of knowledge in my headspace when you guys were small. All I could do was make sure we had everything that we could need and get, resources and abilities and skills we had to get them, and the rest of the world had to watch. That business wasn't that business.
Yeah.
So, again, we're thankful, and I remember those Sunday mornings when you and Sonny got your mom's car after her working all night and going to Sunday school and coming back, and me going to a church someplace else. But that was what we did on Sunday morning.
What was I? Let me see. Was I 12? About 12, 13?
I think that started at about 9 and a half.
Yeah. So I think what happened was, so my mom, y'all, again, welcome. This is a Father's Day edition. I'm talking to my dad, Leon Wynn. I'm Tiffany Parker. This is Table Talk with Tiffany on Miko TV. And thank you again for joining me. But what he's talking about was, so his church was across town, and my mom worked at she worked at an oil refinery, and so she worked shift work. So on the times that she had to work, whoever that is talking to you, tell them that you are on live.
You know who that is.
Is that my mama? My mama. And so one of the things that we did was they both took me on the path a little bit and showed me how to drive on the back streets. So I drove on the back streets to my aunt's house. I parked the car there, and my sister and I walked across the street to church. because missing church was not an option, and I'm very thankful for that as well. So whatever the provision was that needed to take place, then that's what happened. And because of the what is it when the time runs out? You know, again, what a law is concerned. What is that? Yeah. So can't nobody say nothing to us now because that was a very long time ago. But yeah, I was like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I think I got my hardship license early. And then I was legal by the time I got my hardship license.
Yeah, but that was all a training process.
That was all a training process, y'all. I don't know that we advise it now. But I put my sister in the back seat. Sometimes she would, fight me to be in the front, but I put her in the back seat. We drove them few little minutes around the corner, and then we walked across the street to church, and it just worked. It just worked. And so, we had a very unique situation. I was telling Sonya this morning, Leon, I was like, they talking about everything. I could check off all of the boxes. Latchkey kid, blended family, working parents, driving before time, working before time. Been an entrepreneur. I guess I've had my own business since I was a little girl. And there's just not much of anything that I don't know how to do. And so when parents start complaining about their children, I say we probably would have been the same way if we didn't have a ton of things to do, but there was always something to do. And if you want to talk about an idle mind being the devil's workshop, we might have went to one of his classes, but we were never in his workshops because we always had something to do. And so I think one of the parenting tips that you all use that maybe some of the other people might want to hear is that there was always something to do. If we didn't have our chores, we had to cook. If we weren't cooking, there was some recipe that we had to learn. If we weren't doing that, we had yard work. Then we had schools. We opened up our own schools. We didn't hire people to do the yard work at the schools. We didn't hire people to like get the buildings ready to open the businesses. We all got together and did it ourselves. And so it was a blessing to me because it's where I learned how to do so many things on my own, even though I hire people now. Back then, me knowing how to do it, like somebody can't tell me that they can do something that I'm paying them to do, and I don't know how to check it. I pretty much know how to do everything that I hire somebody to do. And so, when I hear you talking about the fact that you just got your insurance license, how long you had your insurance license, Mr. Wynn?
4 years now.
Oh, how old were you when you got those?
About 76, maybe. 76.
And how were you when you got your insurance? Because you're a certified HVAC guy too, right?
Yeah, I do that too.
Okay, how old were you when you got that?
Probably 3 years prior to that. So it must have been, I guess I was 67, 68, something like that.
Oh, okay. I can all right then.
Yeah.
So it don't stop.
No, it doesn't, because I've been contemplating attacking another skill.
And so you also provide some counseling on Sundays for some guys too. Tell me a little bit about that.
Right. Well, these gentlemen have made some mistakes in their lives. Most of it is domestic violence related, and they are now heavily in the probation system. So this is an alternative to jail. And they come in and we provide classes for them. Abundant Life Counseling, and 2 hours on Thursday nights, and it has been for the past 4 years. 5 years. It has been for 2 times a week of Sunday afternoon, and again on Thursday nights. But it's basically guys make mistakes, and it's a reference to what I just referenced about the selfishness. One thing we don't have each other. We don't know how to communicate with each other. We don't know how to listen to our spouses. And it's just a whole host of things, mistakes that we make as men.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're not the sole contributor in those environments. Uh, like I said, the spouse or the female comes in with her own set of grievances. But the problem or the big difference is they don't necessarily feel free to share them because you're not really willing to listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
We listen to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't listen to understand. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
that's what she wants from us. Don't tell me what to do. Just listen. Just,
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of our conversation is centered around that. Most recently, we started to address people looking at themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of my pet peeves or pet sayings now is when you get up in the morning and you look in the mirror and you see that guy day after day, what about him don't you like?
Mm-hmm.
When you get to the point where you can address that, then you're fixing to start doing something good for yourself. Otherwise, when it's always about the other person, you're not gonna make it. You're not gonna
Yeah.
make it. A lot of guys they love to listen to us. They love to because they have to. It's participatory,
Mm-hmm.
so they have to participate. And by the
Mm-hmm.
time they come in, nobody wants to be in the class. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
by the time they're in the class 2 or 3 sessions, they can't wait to get online.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's been real productive. Like I said, time flies. So in November will be 6 years that I've been doing that.
Whoa, for real?
Yeah.
So you started on that when you was 70 what?
Oh, you relate everything to it.
I'm just letting people know that it's never too late to pursue anything. As you can hear, from the time this man was 67 until now, you've had 4 or 5 different roles that you've taken. And we don't want to forget the fact that you also helped to build a charitable community center in Cold Springs, which is where Mama is from, which is where I hail from, Fifth Ward, by way of Scenic Woods through Cold Springs, you know what I mean, here and there and everywhere. So you did that as well.
Yeah.
Managed to build a very good portfolio of providing people with places to live, and the head deacon at your church. And I mean, I know that you don't ever like stack it like that. You never count it like that. Y'all have never been that way, but it's just the truth. And so, I have a degree in criminology and correction. So when I hear about you doing that work, I'm like, oh, did I get that from you too? Um, I never thought I would see you doing that, but I guess it makes sense that you would, because you have a lot of experience in that space in terms of helping people to. You don't have any domestic violence experience, but you have experience in telling people how not to go in that direction. And so I know that they appreciate all the wisdom that you bring to the table. And I know that, like, my nieces and my nephews, they love to hear you give them good advice. You've always given me good advice, financial advice, life advice, spiritual advice. And the biggest thing is that I've seen you live it out. I have not seen you in anything but a sober state. You never hollered at me before. Oh, have you ever wanted to holler at me?
No, that doesn't generally accomplish anything.
Yeah, I have never been hollered at by this man.
That doesn't do it.
How did you get through your whole life, my whole life, not ever raising your voice at me? What is, I mean, I'm just trying to be quiet, Colin. That's my nephew commenting. But what does that look like? What is that? How have you not gone over on the other side with us? I mean, is it because we're just such perfect children, or that just never occurred to you to handle things like that? What is your perspective about that? And we have about 9 minutes left, so we still got a little time.
That has to do with humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody deserves to be abused. That's abusive.
Thank you, sir. Uh-huh.
Nobody deserves to be abused. And with your comment about participating in domestic violence training, one of the biggest attributes for me is
I'm hearing you.
I have 4 daughters.
Right.
Brother, you don't need to mess with my daughters. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all heard that? He a little hole in a little hood too. Y'all don't get it twisted. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Came from the streets, y'all.
You did?
For real. But I didn't want to mimic what I'd experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the onus is on me to control myself.
Mm-hmm.
When I yell at you, what am I going to do? I'm going to excite you and you're going to yell back at me. Well, that's one of the things I don't like.
Right.
Don't yell at me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I have no right and reason to yell at you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate that because I think that yelling at me probably would have discouraged me. It probably would have hurt my feelings so bad that I probably would have had a tough time recovering from that. So I appreciate you, exerting that type of self-control and being that type of guy. I tell people all the time, I don't yell. I mean, it just doesn't. I don't even know how high of an octave my voice has. And I have worked in some tough spaces, and I have worked with some of the people, what people consider some of the toughest people in the music industry and the entertainment industry and professional athletes. I think that a lot of the demeanor that I have, I learned it at home. And so I appreciate that as well. And I can tell you for certain that a lot of people ask me, in their business, like, how are you able to maintain your self-esteem, your awareness and your confidence, and how are you able to stay so docile? I'm like, it's where I came from. And one thing for certain is that I cannot fail. And the reason why I can't fail is because you guys have an expectation of me that is just about me being healthy and okay. So nothing that I do from a perspective in my career or anything that I have, is there an expectation for me in that space except for me to do my best? And so when you tell your children that, when you give them that, then anything is possible. Because one thing I can always say, I told it to everybody that I worked with, I was like, I don't care if this gig don't work out because I can always go home. And there is a level of assurance that your children have when they know that they'll always be accepted at home. And they say, well, sometimes you can't, you just can't let your kids do no any kind of way, but they're not going to do just anything. Mm-hmm. When you have an expectation for them, you set a great example. And it's not foolproof in any space. I'm just talking about in the spaces that I've been in my life, and I've seen it repeatedly, that setting the example has been one of the things that has really blessed me. I don't see you guys. I never saw y'all live a dual life. I never saw you live this life at home and then live that life outside. I never saw you, treat us one way and then treat other people a different way. You guys were very consistent. Y'all didn't take no shiggity from us. You ain't take no shiggity from nobody else, and you didn't play no games across the board. And so, seeing that type of consistency was a blessing. I guess if we had to write a story, it definitely would not be the perfect circumstances, but it was the perfect outcome. And so, I just appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Jeff. We obviously we've had some issues that we could point at,
but for sure,
those were not the primary. And where you make sure your focus is on the primary. Let the main thing be the main thing.
Let the main thing be the main thing.
And be all as best you can to everybody you meet. That go to society. When you fall short or there's a fallacy, if it's not your fault, you're good. If it is your fault, then we got a problem. So that's really what life is all about.
It really is. Now tell me something. What can you tell young men in a couple of spaces? You haven't been a father for, let me see, who's the old? Am I the oldest?
Yes.
So you've been a father for a long time. We don't need to be talking about how old I am and all of that, right? We only get to tell your age on here. But anyway, You've been a father for a very long time. And based on my standards, it's one of the things that I can say you've mastered very, very well. And it's one of the things that you've done really great, among other things. What is it that you want to say to young men today who are raising their children, just all type of circumstances come to play, whether they're in a perfect scenario, whether in the house and they're with their biological children, there's a marriage, that are people who are estranged from their children. What is the one thing that you would like to say to those men that you think will bless them, that will, what is it that you think could really inspire them and lift them up today?
Well, the first thing I would tell the young men was make sure you do your due diligence before you get involved.
Oh, wait a minute. You done went way back. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Let me get ready for this.
No.
Go on, man. Go on, talk.
Got to do that. And once you do that, make sure that you're not unequally yoked. And when you get in the family state of life, you just took on a major responsibility. Man your position. Be the leader, the teacher, when I say leader, not the disciplinarian necessarily. Teach. And you may have to lay your little privileges aside, because that must cause some things called sacrifice. There may be necessarily some sacrifices in your life, but if you will handle that, your offspring will see you and mimic you. The one thing that we as men have to remember, the same thing in the way you treat your family, you're teaching your offspring to teach their family that way. So we don't need to propagate that. We got way more that going on than we need to propagate. So young men, be who you are. If you are Christian, hopefully you are, then God has a model for you to live by. And if you live by that model, it's proven that you'll be a success. Now, if you choose to go the other way and go willy-nilly out there and do what you want to do when you want to do it without respect to others, there's an outcome for that too. So you're trying to be objective and trying to be a productive person in life. Follow God's model and teach children, not beat your children. Teach your children, because what you
teach your children so you can reach your children.
Yeah. So what you do speaks so loud that no one can hear anything you say.
All right. Well, I guess that's the way that what you do will speak so loud that you won't have much, you won't need to say much. Yeah. And so, man, I appreciate that. I guess that's the way that we'll end the show today. I really, Leon, I really appreciate you being here. It's just another testament that you'll do anything for us. We'll pull you out of your shell and do anything. Listen, when people ask me about my father, I say, all I can tell you is that he carried a big gun and he also got some big shoes to fill. So that just means don't come from the left or to the right. And as a girl and as a woman, knowing that you have the support of your parents, your father especially, means a lot. So I appreciate you being there, and I appreciate, everything that you've done. And I think I can just publicly apologize for you for being such a knucklehead sometimes.
Hey.
Thank you for not hollering at me. Thank you for not beating me. Thank you for giving me a belt and letting me go with myself, please. Thank you so much. It really blessed my life.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you. And you guys have never, when I say you guys, talking about both you and Tiff, as well as Charlotte and Tanya.
You and Tiff, I am Tiff. Are you talking about Sonny? We're not talking about her right now. Oh, go ahead.
I am a few months minus 80, so you know what I'm saying. Twisted.
You don't look like what you've been through, sir. You good?
But we just I never had a reason or rationale to be. Children are good. They are a benefit to you, and you need to cherish that. That's thank you for being who you are.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. You're a big part of the reason why I am who I am.
Yeah.
So I guess that's how we'll wrap up today. What a blessing. Thank you so much. I'm glad that we have an opportunity to just sit down and chat it up. We need to do it more often. Thank you for being a good person, and thank you for being a man of God and who you are in our family. And I hope that everybody who's listening today, again, I'm Tiffany Parker. This is the Table Talk with Tiffany. I'm here with my dad, Leon Wynn. So if you need like somebody who can exterminate your house, someone who can, hello, he could exterminate your house. He could fix your air conditioner. He could tell you how to run a business. He can teach at your school. He can counsel you if you get off. He can take you to the church to get baptized.
Yeah.
And he can cook.
Hey. Mean dirty right. Mean dirty right.
I appreciate you being all around type of guy. You know what I mean? And I know people are like, why do you call him Leon? And you know, that's your dad. He just gave us the liberty of calling him by his first name. I'm telling you, we were raised like an adult. And why you let me call you by your first name before we go? What was our rationale behind that?
I don't, it never was an issue. I don't know. You wanted my attention, you called my name. That's all it is.
I hope y'all learned something today. I really appreciate y'all being here. Again, this is my dad. I call him Leon because that's his name. Like he said, I got more attention calling him by his first name. So, and nothing has changed all this time. So again, happy Father's Day. I love you a whole lot. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And I'll see y'all next week. We'll be talking about the subject of men's mental health. And it's Men's Mental Health Month. And, you know, you're a counselor that provides counseling for men every week. So I know that you have dwelled deep into that. And I might just have to bring you back before the month is up.
Okay.
All right. I appreciate it. I'll see y'all next week. Y'all have a blessed Sunday. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.